Welcome back. This week I've got a little bit of footage from a steam show that I went to this past weekend. A Mazda comes in with a cylinder 1 misfire that we check out. And work continues on the 48 Chevy. We've got the body just about finished blocking. We're ready to wet sand, and we should have some paint on it very soon. Thanks for tuning in.
This is a unique machine. It has an air compressor there running off the front of the crankshaft. And the reason it has an air compressor is it has factory air brakes. This is a 1945 Case LAI. It's a military edition owned by Billy Sanders. He's been on the show a few times. He said he's got very unique machines. And this is one I didn't know he had. Here Billy's taking it for a little ride around the showgrounds. And here you can actually make out the air brake chamber on the tractor. Again, it's factory. Very interesting machine. I know Billy's very proud to own it. Here's an old water tower at the show that last year, some of you recall, my son climbed that. And of course he ends up in the show calendar for March. And there he is. This Scott steam engine is owned by the gentleman who runs the Somerset show. Very smooth running machine. I like this shot. I made a still of it, so I'm probably going to get an 8x10 and hang it on my wall. And for those of you that think I never sell anything, I did let this horse-drawn grader go. The gentleman that bought it is taking it to North Carolina. He is going to be using a team of horses to pull it. I've enjoyed using it at different shows, pulling it with one of my crawlers, but it's time for it to move on to someone else who can enjoy it.
Today is Sunday. We got it all primed out yesterday, so we're going to put some ink powder on it and begin the blocking process.
I'm putting on the guide coat before block sanding.
Blocking with 220 is showing some of the low spots that we were looking for. Like for example here, some sand scratches. You can see where the powder is still low and we need to sand there. Most of the sanding has been done here, but there's a little bit of a low spot here. As you can see, we're sanding down into the body filler, which is fine. You can continue doing that to keep it flat, but if you get to metal, you need to stop because it's going to require a little more filler or a little more primer. It just depends on how deep it is. We've got a little gouge here that's going to need to be filled. We're not going to be able to get that completely blocked out. But these are the kind of things that we do when we're block sanding to make sure that all these low spots, all of the sand scratches, everything is out. We'll put on another coat of primer beyond that, and then we'll reblock it again once we've made the repairs. And after that, it should be time to wet sand it and get some color on this body. Another late night, as you can see. We've got the body all blocked down with 220. Filled in some of the low spots that we found while we were blocking it. So it's ready for its second stage of primer. We'll block it again and then wet sand it, and we'll be ready to paint.
For the tri-power intake and the dual exhaust that we're using for the car, coming from two different manufacturers, there's a little bit of difference in the thickness of each one. We need to have them even. So we're grinding a little bit off of the flange of the exhaust so that we can get these mounted back to the engine correctly. Here the students are helping out by sanding the edges around the car, getting set for its second coat of primer. Even though we're not quite ready for the fenders yet, we still want to keep busy and get things done that we can get done. With the body sanded again, students are wiping it down before priming. On this work afternoon, I didn't get much filming done as I got involved and started blocking on the body. Time got away from me and these guys were really working hard. As you can see, both of the doors are getting worked on. And over here, James is continuing to work on one of the fenders. This car came in with a cylinder 1 misfire. And one of the easier ways to diagnose if it's a coil or a plug or find out what it is or isn't is switching coils. So what we're doing is switching number 1 and 4. And if the mis moves, then we know it's a coil. If it doesn't move, then we might be looking at a plug. Okay, the students putting the intercooler back on, and then we'll take it for a test drive. After our test drive, the code came back as still a cylinder 1 misfire, so we're replacing the plugs. A little bit of anti-seize helps the plugs to go in, keep from galling the aluminum head, but it also makes them easier to get back out the next time they need to be removed. With the plugs installed, the coils can go back in. The cover back over the intercooler, we're ready for another test drive. Much better. Next time on Bulldog Builds, barring any major problems, we should have some color on our 48 Chevy body. Hopefully we'll have a little more work done on the Fox body project, and we're going to have a special guest on next week's episode. See you then.